Welcome everybody to the Renovated Thinking Podcast.
Hey,
we back again with another episode. I got the usuals with me, you know, the originals. I got Ray, and we got Drawde here.
Yes, sir.
And we also have a special guest. We have, this man is an educator.
Yeah.
He is an entrepreneur, an investor, mortgage loan officer, and even more stuff. And he's going to be able to tell you about that. We got Jamare Clarington.
Hey, in there.
So, yeah. You already know.
That's what's up.
So, yeah,
welcome,
man.
welcome.
First, before we ever get into this deep dive, we're going to go into our guest and talk about, what he has going on. So, you can introduce yourself to the people. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you said everything that I'm currently doing right now. As far as things that I have going on, my website, imjclarington.com.
Hey.
I'm getting my scuba certification.
Okay.
So I'm going
okay.
to do my diving soon.
Hey.
I have a survival and tactical group, United Defense Tribe. That website is being done right now.
Definitely. So more so than that in what you do, like, you can let people know. Are you from? Where are you from? And
Where I'm from?
Yeah.
Well, my father's in the military, so I lived all over. I was born in Fort Riley, Kansas. But I've only lived there for like 2 years. So I spent time in Germany, Hawaii, Michigan, Arizona.
Okay, so we got somebody well traveled over here. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Where are you from? Everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. Everywhere.
Well, what's that first site you was talking about? The first website you spoke of?
IMJ Clarington. That's my personal site, my personal blog site.
Okay.
I blog about credit. Got some credit stuff on there.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of different little things that come to my mind. One of the things that I found that was tough for me is being interested in so many different things. Trying to, we're in a niche market where everybody's trying to put everything into, if you do real estate this, you do this type of blog site, do this. But me, I can't. I'll get too bored.
Mm-hmm.
I get bored of talking about one subject every single day. It'll just bore me. So it's just my personal touch on the different things that I'm thinking about.
Oh no, that's dope because I feel the same way. My head. Not that my head is everywhere, but at the same time, I'm a thinker, and I get, I can get a little bored if I'm just focused on this one thing because something else will catch my eye. So I know how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man. So that's good. So today, first of all, how's everybody doing before I also get started with this?
Everything's wonderful.
Right.
Everything's good?
Yeah.
Okay,
awesome.
okay.
Awesome. Everything is great. Yeah.
Oh, definitely, man. I'm good. So, yeah, let's get into this deep dive. Today we're going to be talking about personal credit.
Yeah.
So, as he said, as we mentioned, Jamare is very knowledgeable on credit. You know what I'm saying? And you also do credit cure as well, or
I refer.
You refer.
I refer.
You refer.
Okay.
You refer. Okay.
And
So-
the reason why I refer is because I don't want to be inundated with a whole bunch of other people's documents.
True.
I'll leave that to other people to do.
No, I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you definitely. So when it comes to credit, we're gonna ask you some things as far as credit in general, just to
Okay.
go into.
Okay.
So let's talk to people about, because what I realized about a lot of people is that people of the general public don't necessarily know the components that impact their credit and how you can use those components to like work to build it, because those things can crush you. It can do well for you. It depends on your responsibility and how you use it.
That's a fact.
So let's like go into just speak out on like those different things.
Well, when it comes to personal credit, I wish our educational system did a better job of educating the youth about, you know, the basics of credit, like from kindergarten and up. Because that's the thing it's one of the most important numbers that you're gonna have in your life, right? So when it comes to personal credit, what I find in my experience, what people don't understand is, one, pay people back. If you borrow money, pay it back. When somebody say, hey, how do I build my credit? Pay it back. You know, we learn from our parents to avoid bill collectors, right? When they call our phone, we avoid them. If something doesn't go our way, as far as, you know, you're dealing with AT&T or, you know, Comcast or something like that, and you don't like how they're treating you, you decide, I'm not going to pay the bill. Well, they don't care. They're going to put it on your credit, you know, and it's going to, by the time you need your credit, especially when you're young, you're eventually trying to move into an apartment, find out that you need a 640 or 660 to move into that apartment complex. And they do that for a reason, because credit is a way to filter out the people that have bad credit. If you have bad credit, you tend to be somebody that's untrustworthy. That's how they look at it. Like, if you don't take care of your money, why would I want you in my complex? Why would I want you working for me? And so you have everybody's checking your credit. Everybody, from your car insurance to the people that you're working for, they can check your credit file and see what's in your credit file. You know, I know that happens in real estate. It happens for me to become a loan officer, I couldn't have, you know, bankruptcies or anything like that on my credit report. So if you know how important your credit report is, you'll know from day one, I gotta treat it right. I think one of the biggest mistakes people do is you know, allow people to use their credit. Parents are using their kids to get, you know, their cable bill in their name, you know. So by the time you turn 18, your credit's already messed up because your parents didn't even understand anything about credit. So that is just the first part, is pay people back. If we were to get into different scenarios on, you know, how to build credit, the first thing I would tell a person is, get a secure card. Okay.
Let's talk about that.
So a secure card is pretty much you're putting your own money up for collateral. And typically this happens if you have bad credit. If you're 18, if you have if you're with a credit union or a bank, they'll typically give you like a college, starter credit card. Secure cards are typically for people that's trying to rebuild their credit. And so basically, I don't trust you to lend you my money. So put your money up, borrow against yourself, show us that you can pay yourself back, and then we'll match it, right? You put 300 in, we'll match it and make it an unsecured card and give you 600 in credit. So that's the way. And the thing is, it's funny because in order to build credit, you got to go into debt first, right?
Funny.
So you got to get a credit card. You got to buy some stuff on credit. And so if people know the only reason why you should be building credit is to leverage credit, to get into that apartment complex, to buy a home, or to get the lowest interest rate, because remember, the penalty for borrowing money is interest.
Right.
You know, like me, typically, I don't lend anybody money, because if I lend you money and you don't pay me back, then what can I do? I'm just out of luck. But if I lend you money and we both benefit from it, you borrow $100 from me, I say, okay, bring me back 120. Well, we benefit from that. Right. You get the $100, I get the 120 when you bring it back. You may say, why are you going to? Well, we both benefit. Me lending you money, I don't benefit from it. So you can get mad at the credit companies for, charge you 24% interest. Nobody's putting a gun in your head and making you open up a credit card. Right. You got to understand why you're building your credit. What is the purpose of building your credit? It's not, when you get a Discover card and you get a $20,000 credit limit, it's not to spend 20 grand.
Right.
It's to leverage that 20,000. Like, I already know, if you don't have 40,000 in your bank, there's no reason in hell that you should be using $20,000 in credit.
No, definitely. And that is, it's funny when you brought up the interest rates, because a lot of people actually come, I got nothing to do with no credit repair, no nothing. But because I focus myself on, on learning about credit And, over time, people learn that I may have known some stuff, so people will come to me and ask me. And one thing that I noticed about people is that a lot of them would ask about secured credit cards to grow their credit, but they're so worried about the interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, in my opinion, I'm just like, yo, if you so focused on the interest rate, you getting that card for the wrong reasons.
Facts.
Because if your credit card utilization rate is low and you're making those payments on time,
Mm-hmm.
you're paying back the money that you borrowed at the time that you're supposed to. You won't even have to really worry about it. And that's how I grew my credit. I never touched interest.
That's a fact.
You know what I'm saying? So it's been, I don't know how long it's been since when I got my very first, I started off with secured as well. I put down $500. My second one was a secured as well. I still have them today. And any credit card that I have, I don't touch it. And it grew. They also gave me more money on my max at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So, but at the same time, I don't use it. So that's one thing that I realized. People with their interest rates and, worrying about those while they're trying to build their credit.
Yeah, and you can get around it, as you alluded to. You can get around it if you're, if you use $100 on the 1st, and your payment's not due to the 15th, so to speak. If you pay your bill before the 15th, before your bill is issued, then you avoid the interest.
Regardless of how much you use.
Regardless. But if they issue the bill, once you get, then they've already applied interest to it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, you want to report sometimes a small balance over so they can show that, there was an actual balance. And sometimes if you, use $20, then pay it down to $5, and 24% of $5 is nothing. But you're reporting that, right? Because let's get to payment history, because 35% of your score is based off of your payment history. Mm-hmm. How well can you pay people back on time? And if you realize that that's the biggest chunk of your credit score, then you're going to make sure that you pay people back on time every time. I always suggest make everything automatic payments. Mm-hmm. If you have a credit card, your minimum payment is $15. Just make sure that your minimum is getting paid all the time. And then, obviously, if you want to make more than the minimum payment, then, set it higher or pay the next day a little higher. But just make sure it's getting paid all the time.
Right.
Yeah, true. So, like you had said, the 35% with the payment history, would probably, isn't it 30% also for the usage rate?
Yeah, your credit utilization. Mm-hmm.
So those two are the biggest two, and those two alone make 65% of what makes up your credit.
Yeah.
So like with that being said, those two in a way that like they go hand in hand, and credit cards, some people are against them altogether, but
I'm not mad at people for that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of older people that I've dealt with, people in their late 40s, late 50s, and they're trying to buy a home, and they don't have any credit, or they call it a thin file, where sometimes their credit's not even reporting, right? And then I have to tell these people that have been pretty diligent. Cash is boom. I'm not buying anything that I can't afford. I'm not putting anything on credit. It's actually the right way to live. Mm-hmm. But we live in a society where, eventually you're going to want to buy a home, and eventually you're not going to have, unless you have the cash to buy a $300,000 home. They want to see that you have borrowed money in the past and paid people back. I want to see that. So I always use as an example, credit has always been around. And you can look at it if I own a bar and I'm the bartender there, and Rachel comes into my bar. I know Rachel, right? Mm-hmm. She's been in my bar 5 years. Every Friday, she gets her drinks, and eventually, I give a tab, and I say every Friday, next Friday, she pay me back that tab. I know she's good for it. Then Deion comes in. I don't know you. Mm-hmm. I ask Rachel, hey, you know him? She's like, nah, I don't know. He wants to put some on the tab. I don't know you. So you gotta you got to come here for a little while.
Right.
You be here for a little while, then I'll give you a $20 tab. See how you do with that. Then you pay it back. So now we're building a rapport. So now when you want to have $100 tab, I can trust you. That's all credit is. It's not for people to run away from. It's not for people to point and say the bill collectors are bad people. They're trying to collect money just like everybody else, right? If I lend you money, I want something in return. And that's how you got to understand it. And that's how credit has evolved over time. It's simple. It's really simple.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just that we're not taught that. We're taught the opposite.
Right.
We're taught you saw your dad owe your uncle $20, and now your dad is avoiding your uncle for paying him $20. He's like he's avoiding the phone call. And this is what you learn. This is what you see every single day. People avoiding bills. And then when they really need to use it, they can't. They have no leverage. So when people ask me, can you get a credit card with a 580 credit score? Can you get a home with a 580 credit score? Can you buy a car with a 580 credit score? Let's stay at the car, because people have told me, hey, man, yeah, I got a great deal. I was able to get a car with a 580 credit score. Like, you didn't get a good deal. You got a car, but you didn't get a good deal. You can't sell me on that, right? At the end of the day, you're paying 20-something% interest on a car. That's like credit card. That's very high. So eventually, hopefully, you refinance out of that deal because they gave you the bad deal. Yeah, you were able to get the car, but now you're paying more for the car than the car is actually worth. You're upside down in your car payment. You can't turn that car back in. You want to trade it in one day and get another car, and they tell you, yeah, you can trade it in, but give us $3,000 too. You're like, what are you talking about? You're upside down in your payment. You owe more on a car than the car is worth. That's why car loans are some of the worst loans, if not the worst loan in America.
Definitely.
So you really got to be careful. I tell people all the time, look into, if you're going to purchase a car, you kind of gauge what you do with your vehicle, right? Because remember, a vehicle is a depreciating asset.
Very.
Right? So you're constantly putting money into it. This is why, if you be around people with a lot of money, they lease their cars. They don't drive very far. If they do drive very far, they're going to rent a car.
Right.
And they're going to lease the car. Because by the time people say, well, you're leasing, you're throwing your money away. No, by the time you finish paying off your car 6 years later, I've had 2 vehicles. Yes. You're dumping money into an asset that is no longer worth it. Your AC broke. It cost you $1,500. Right. Your car's only worth $1,000. Insurance companies cause that car totaled. They won't even give you money for it. They're not going to fix that car. It's totaled. And so this is why you just got to know what credit is used for and how to leverage it, for everything that you are about to purchase. And you got to set yourself up for it. Okay, if I'm gonna buy a car, I need to have this credit score. If I'm gonna buy a car, I need to know that I need to choose a bank. Hopefully it's a credit union, and have them give me a car voucher. And don't go to the dealer, because they're going to run your credit like 30 times. And that's going to ruin your credit. Those hard inquiries,
Yeah. And that's another thing that impacts, and it's not categorized as a high impact, but it does.
Once you get over about 3 to 5 hard inquiries on your account, it can drop your points 3 to 5 points per hard inquiry. So it doesn't initially, it's not a big impact at first, but I've had people go to a car dealership and get their credit ran 12 times in that one day. So then imagine what it does to your credit. With credit reports, it's like, oh, you're really looking for credit, so you can't even get it. If you just imagine you're standing outside and your friend is asking everybody to borrow money. And he got $5 from him. He got $5. You're like, man, you must ain't got no money. I ain't gonna lend you no money, because you're out here looking for it. That means you won't got nothing. Right. It's all about leverage, man. It's all about leverage.
Wow.
And what is a good credit score? I mean, I know a bad credit score is something lower than 600, correct?
Yeah.
So what is a good to maybe
great scale? Yeah.
Overall credit score.
I say it depends, but I would say it starts at 620.
Okay.
And the reason I say it depends because it depends on what you're trying to do. It just depends on what you're trying to get. 620 is great. Well, I don't want to say great. 620 is decent to get you a car with a decent interest rate. 620 is decent to qualify you for most home loans, right? Does it mean you're going to get the best interest rate? No. I'll say once you get over, 660, 680, 700, then you have a little more leverage in the game. Right? You get over that, like 620, you go to a car dealership, you have no leverage. You have none. I walk into a dealership with 800 credit score, I got all the leverage. I'm walking out. What? No, I'm out. Because they know this is an easy sell. I can, on paper, this is easy. I don't got to do much work. This is easy.
Like they already know.
Yeah.
If I run somebody's credit as a loan officer and I see, boom, 760 credit score, I'm like, oh, okay, all right, we good. We good. Let's see what the income's looking like now. Because now the income has to match, Oh, and that's one thing I want to dispel. I got to dispel this. So you'll see on the internet, and these are mostly from people trying to sell you their credit services. And you'll see it. You can do more. You can do more with an 800 credit score than you can do with $10,000. It's a lie. If you show up with an 800 credit score, no money, you ain't got no money.
Yeah.
And I find out what do you do?
Right.
And then find out that you don't have a great job. Now I'm like, okay, well, how much can you save a month to get, to save enough to put down towards the loan? You're like, $100 a month. Well, all right, here's a budget. I'll see you in 5 years. But somebody has $10,000, and let's say they have a 580 credit score. So let's got to go through his credit report and see what he has to do to get to that 620 or the 640. It's easy for me to work with someone who has bad credit and has assets than someone who has good credit and no assets. It doesn't make any sense, but they're going to sell you that. Like when you walk in thinking because you got 800 credit score that you're going to get a house. Good luck. Good luck. Who's going to give you money? You're not putting any money down. You're not putting any skin in the game. And that's what it is. Yes, 800 credit score is great, but it ain't going to get you anything if you don't have any money, if you don't have any income. You have to have something to show me that you're going to repay back this loan.
Right.
I just want to put that out there.
So what's considered?
It makes me mad when I see it. It does. It really makes me mad when I see it. Because I'm like, y'all, it's like, because they play on the fact that people don't know anything. Yeah. They play on the fact that people don't know anything about credit. And so people see 800 credit score. That, oh my God, okay, it's great. It's great to have. But now what? Now what? You got a great credit score. Now what? You bought the car, got your house. Now what's the credit score doing for you? Now what? Or if you don't have any of that stuff, it's like now you got to, line everything up. Right. Your credit's only good if you're going to use it. It's not good if you're not going to use it. It's just not. It's just sitting there. You're just walking around smiling. I got a 700 credit score. So what? So what? What you got? What are you doing? Nothing.
That's it.
I don't care. Are you investing? Are you leveraging it?
Right.
You're not? Then so what?
Exactly. And what are some ways when people get to that good place in credit? What are some good examples of how people can leverage their credit to their advantage? Investing and
investing always. From going from personal credit to business credit, and that's for people who are interested in that aspect of doing that. Getting money to invest in other things. Of course, if you have great credit and you maybe, you want to get a personal loan to invest in something, or you want to get a personal loan to pay off a credit card that has a high interest rate on it, and the personal loans give you 3% and the credit cards give you 24%, and just the numbers make sense. I'm going to get the personal loan for $10,000, pay off the card for $10,000 with lowest interest rate. That's the quickest way. That's another way to to rebuild your credit.
That's a smart way to
especially with a lot of credit unions do that. They'll give you a card or something, or a loan, personal loan, because you're in their program, and they'll give you an introductory rate at 3% or 6%, and your credit cards it's like 24%. Then it just makes sense to transfer that debt over to pay it off faster, with the intent of paying it off faster.
Yeah.
You know, just don't, sit on it, because again, that's the introductory rate. It will go up.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, bro, what did I do? What did I do?
So what's considered a hard inquiry?
Anytime a third-party company pulls your credit. So if you came to me trying to buy a home and I pull your credit, it's a hard inquiry. You go to an auto loan dealership to pull your credit, it's a hard inquiry. Now, you can check your credit all day, every day. Matter of fact, you're allowed to get one credit file every 12 months. That's part of the FACTA, which allows you, consumers, to get an annual of their credit file. Now, it's
for
not
free.
It's
right?
for free. It's not your score. It's your file. You got to pay for your score. But your file tells you everything that's on your credit report. So it's going to show you what debts you have, any delinquencies, any collections, and things of that nature. So you're allowed that, right? Just the same way you're allowed to dispute anything that's on there. You're allowed to dispute all that stuff that's on that file. And that's how people get things removed that they owe to other people. That's how they get it removed off their credit file. Like, you can owe AT&T. Hope AT&T don't get mad that I'm putting them out there like that. You can owe AT&T in collections and get it removed even though you owe them. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't owe them money. It's just now they just can't put it on your credit file. So they can still go and collect that money through the courts, but they can't put it on your credit file. If you disputed it and they didn't respond back within that time period, which is like 30 to 45 days. And the best time, let me put that out there right now, the best time to dispute your credit is now. Thanksgiving and Christmas is because they're typically very busy. And people getting ready for the new year. There are people that work at the credit bureaus are just like us. They have jobs, and they get inundated with a whole bunch of stuff, and they overlook certain things. And if it doesn't, these companies don't respond back within a certain amount of time, it gets deleted off your credit report and can't come back.
Okay.
It's a free game.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so this is the best time to dispute stuff on your credit report. And the best way to dispute it on your credit report, whether you're paying someone to do it, and there are a lot of reputable companies that can remove these things off your file, but you can also do it yourself.
Right.
And so it's just just like cutting your grass. Either you're going to pay someone to do it, or you're going to go out and do it yourself.
Right.
So if you have the time, research how to formulate a dispute letter. And you can find them everywhere online. And put those disputes in, or pay someone to do it for you.
Right.
And that would typically be things like collections. Ooh, I have a question for you, because you know how the third category that basically impacts your score for personal credit is derogatory marks, right? And there's two categories to that, which is collections, public records, which collections I'm pretty sure is a lot easier to deal with. So when it comes to public records, say somebody has, do misdemeanors show up? And
No.
Misdemeanors don't show up.
Now, if you have something going on with the courts, maybe you had a parole and you have to pay your parole or probation, however they do it, I don't know. I just know they got to pay them money. So say you don't pay, well, if you don't pay the money, they're probably going to arrest you. But say you have something going on with the court and you owe them money. Now, if you owe someone money, they can put it on your credit report. They can put it on your credit file. Anything that's on your credit file can be disputed and removed. You don't have to wait 7 years for something to drop off your credit file. But that's the maximum length something can stay on your credit file, other than bankruptcies, which could stay on there for about 10 years. But you don't have to wait the full 7 years to get something removed off your credit file. You can dispute those things right away. But just know, and just is to save you money, if there's a company soliciting you to, sign up with them, is that if it's something new, it's going to be harder for you to dispute. Like if it's like fresh, like if you just recently didn't pay Comcast, like 9 times out of 10 in my experience, they have the information on you ready. The minute you dispute, yep, there you go, he was late. Now, as time carries on, documents get lost. And this is what it is when you dispute, is the credit bureaus want actual documentation. So if I dispute something and they say the dispute is valid, then I'm going to tell the credit bureaus, well, show me actual documentation to prove that. And you need original documentation to prove that. You just can't say Deion owes me $20 I need some signatures. I need where I signed. Right. I need where I enrolled with this company. Right. You have to prove that. If you can't prove that, then it has to be removed off of somebody's credit report. And so this is why a lot of things get removed off people's credit report, because these companies sell your stuff, your information to collection companies, and the collection company just gets your name and a number. That's it. And so if you don't know, collection company call you. And here's another tidbit. If a collection company calls you and you know good and well that you haven't dealt with this company in 6 years since you graduated from college, and they're calling you trying to collect the debt, and it's a 6 year since you were delinquent. If you pay that company, if you go into any type of an agreement with that company and pay them $10, it resets the timeline for that thing to stay on your credit report another 7 years. So they'll try to get the $10. They'll go, just send us $10, because now you go into a new agreement. You go into a new agreement, and it was just about to fall off the next year. So once you get into that payment with them, they got you, and now go ahead and try to dispute it, because now I got paperwork that you just signed. You just paid us $10.
So you just paid us $10.
You just agreed. You just paid us $10. So that's what people have to be careful of. If a debt collector call me, obviously you can't get your money, and you're not going to get your money. If you waited this long to get it, I'm not going to pay you. But I don't advise that for everybody. We have most loan officers have a simulator that will show them, like, if you paid this debt or this, or if that got removed, how much your score would jump up within a certain time frame. And sometimes it's just wise to, pay your debt. If you owe the debt and it's reasonable, people say, oh, should I pay this $100? Well, just sign up for this credit removal company. It's going to cost you like $160. You might as well just go ahead and pay the $100. It's $100. Yeah. Pay them. You owe them, right? Pay them $100. And you hear people don't pay collectors. If you do pay a collector, make sure that you get it in writing. Right. Make sure that you know that they're going to remove it. I always say, try to avoid the collector. And if you owe, let's use another company, Best Buy, call them directly and try to deal with them first. Yeah. And then also try to get like, hey, I got 50. I got 50 for you right now. Yeah, I got 50 for you. That's all I can afford right now. Can y'all, take pay as agreed if I pay you 50 instead of 100? A lot of times like, yeah, they'll take it. So never try to, you be in a negotiator seat. If you owe $3,000 to a credit card, tell them, I got $1,500 for you that I can pay with, pay back to you within the next 12 months. I'll pay you $200 something or whatever a month, and I can pay that off. And they'll normally take that instead of paying them the full $3,000. So you just make sure you try to negotiate your debt with your collectors. Matter of fact, just don't get into debt, but
just don't get into
And one more thing, as far as debt, And the way that you avoid, as you were saying with the credit utilization, stay under 30% of your credit card. If you have $1,000 credit card, stay under $300. If you know that you only have $300, you can't go beyond that, then you're staying on the right track. And my rule of thumb is, if you use $300, then have at least $600 to $900 in your account.
Yes.
If you don't have $300 in your account, then what are you doing? What are you doing? And so that's the problem. People use credit cards as a secondary income. I got $10,000. No, you don't.
Yeah.
It's
So
not
basically
real
make it
money.
right.
Yeah.
Basically making it, using it as an asset.
And that's the only reason why you should use it.
Exactly. It shouldn't be something that you're depending on either.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something big that I learned, and I'm glad I learned that before I even touched credit cards, because a lot of people, they get them and then you maxing out and then people
realizing even people our age, especially
people our age. A lot of people, people talk to me and they'll ask me for advice on it. I'll be like, well, how much you owe? And then the numbers that I hear, I'd be like, how did you do that? Like, I'm sorry, how did do you know what you did? Yeah, bro, it's crazy. But I know for me, like, honestly, I'm airtight. For me, personally, I've been airtight with my credit. Like, my usage rate, as we speak is like 5%. Right. And then, like, even though, when I speak to people, who, do credit advisory, and, they say it's 30%, 30%. If you want to be in a good place, that 1 through 30% is where it's at. But then at the same time, I had also learned, okay, if I keep it under 10, that'll be great.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I'd just be like, okay, something as simple as, I got a card, it's, $2,000 on it. I'll be like, okay, I'll use it like, okay, I'll use $100 or $150, whatnot. And I know I have the money. And I know, and it's not even necessarily that and that's the thing about it being dependable. I have the money in cash, but I literally put it on the card for the sake of having something to be reported.
That's fact. And
leave it like that. And I'd be like, and I use it and I pay it. Now, there was sometimes I made some big purchases. Like, I made a big, order with equipment, which is what he brought up earlier. I made a big order with some equipment, and it came out okay. It was like $2,500, and I used it on credit because at that moment I didn't have that money all in cash, so I used it on credit. But what I did was, at a point in time, I made sure, for me, before that payment even got there, because that would have been high usage for me. Yeah. Before that payment even got there, I paid most of it.
Yeah.
And then I left a small balance. I let it get reported, and as soon as it got reported, I just paid it.
And again, it's all about, when you're using your credit, like, if you go over 30%, it could begin to bring your credit score down. But let's say you're not in the market to buy a home, you're not in the market to buy a car, you're not in the market for anything at that moment. So why your credit's going down. See, most people don't know why their credit's going down. I can see, okay, why is my credit going down? Oh, I just went over 20% or something like that. So whatever. So you understand that the whole thing is about understanding why your credit is moving up and down. Once you have that understanding, you have that knowledge, I know what I can do, right? I asked my wife, I said, I know what I'm going to do to get over 800. Like, I know, and this is what I'm going to do, boom, right? I know what you can do to make your credit score go down. And the biggest thing that you can do to make your credit score down, it'll drop your credit 60 to 100 points, is one late payment. One. It's all it takes is one, and you're done. you're done. And the late payment is considered late after 30 days.
Yeah.
So it's not day 15 and it's you owe 16. Oh, no, it's 30 days. So if you're 30 days late, then obviously you're just being irresponsible. And you need to notify, and let me not say that, because situations happen. You need to call your creditor and let them know the scenario and say, hey, make sure you put a memo on the account that I called.
Yeah.
And my plan is to pay you guys by this date, even if it's a lie.
Right.
I plan on paying you this day.
So it
Can
doesn't
you
seem like
can you not
Being neglected.
can you not, can you withhold on reporting that information to the credit report, the credit bureaus, because I'm in the process of buying a home and, whatever. I don't know. And a lot of times they'll listen to you and they'll mark their account and, you just stay responsible.
Right.
Don't run from them. Run from them ain't gonna do anything.
Right.
They write
worse.
that off. They don't
Make it
lose money
worse.
when you owe them money. They just sell it off. They're just staying responsible and understanding why your credit moves up and down. And there are a lot of companies that will help you. There are a lot of things as far as like I know there's a company called Self that you can pay them into the credit. I got a few friends that do that. Now they have where certain companies you can report your rent as to the credit bureaus, which works. Or I know Experian does a thing where they you can report your cable bills and things of that nature. Now, it doesn't. The only thing about that is if you're trying to buy a home, having the Comcast bill, your AT&T bill, those bills that normally never report to your credit now show up on your credit file. And when I see it and we got to do actual numbers, then it kind of hurts your debt to income. You follow me? Because now it's showing you that you have these debts reporting on it, and I have to calculate those debts into your debt to income. There's ways around that, but just know that happens, especially with people trying to do it. But, another site I want to drop for people, consumerfinance.gov. That is a Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. Everyone that is a consumer should know that website because it has everything on there. Everything from credit to purchasing a car to buying a house to what's an LE, loan estimate for your home. Everything's on there. And then you can also file complaints. If a credit bureau or collection company is calling you late or, doing all these things, you can file those complaints through consumerfinance.gov. So that's a good site that people should know.
No,
We
that's
appreciate
dope.
that. We appreciate the knowledge.
That's dope. Yeah, I definitely I got a few things, that I didn't know that I'm glad that I got now because, including that consumerfinance.gov.
Yeah, that's big, man. When you go there, you'll see it's a ton of information. It's a ton of information.
All you can do to help yourself is feed yourself knowledge.
And once you go to that site, you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. It's so much. So once you go there, you won't be ignorant about. You shouldn't be ignorant about certain things anymore.
Yeah,
because it covers everything.
Good. Now I'm gonna definitely look into that.
Right.
Today.
And hopefully we could put that link in the
No, yeah. Yeah, no, we definitely gonna
so
do
you guys
that.
could check that out.
Yeah. So, not to go off track because I know we touched people trying to get a mortgage. So when you're doing, because I know you're looking at people's credit reports and you're breaking it down and everything, when you're going down that process. So with that, as far as, because answer me this, what some people would tell me is that when you're trying to get a mortgage on a house and you have credit, but the credit isn't, you've treated credit well, but the credit that you've had at your disposal was nothing compared to a house, not even close. Does that hurt you not having like another big loan or anything?
Nah, it doesn't hurt you.
So even if you just have, credit cards as low as $500. Say you
Yeah.
got a couple of those,
Yeah.
and you use them responsibly for a couple years.
Yeah. You're good. You're good. You're good.
Wow.
What they don't want to see is what will rule you out are evictions, or, and you can get away with that still, but the number one thing that messes people up if they've already had a home before, or they're trying to refinance a home, or they're selling a home, and if they have a late payment with their mortgage. You get a late payment with your mortgage, you got to wait a year. So
A year to refi? Or
yeah, they don't want to see no lates. Would you, if you're trying to refi and get a new loan and you're a lender and you saw that they were late before, do you want to lend them money?
No.
Nah. I mean, that's how I tell people, is like, you have to put yourself in the seat of an investor. Mortgages, credit is investments, right?
Mhm.
If I lend you money, I'm making an investment. It has to be a mutual benefiting transaction. And that's what we have to understand. If you renege on that transaction, then I should be able to benefit from that, because you said you were going to pay this back in a certain amount of time. You reneged on the deal. So two things can happen. I shut you down, send you to collections. I want all my money today, or whenever you can get it. Or I keep the contract open, but now if you read in fine print when you get your credit card, you get all that paperwork, but you don't look at it because you're so excited they give you $20,000. That if you're late, now we can give you the max interest rate, which is like 24.99. You know, and so that's the type of stuff you have to pay attention to.
Okay, and then one last thing also, something that I also would hear, and I already have my opinion and looked into it, but I want you to touch on it. I even would hear people talking about using their credit, using the credit that they have, like on a card, using the credit that they have almost to a maximum to try to get borrowers to increase their credit. To increase their, the credit that they have available.
Nah, that's not going to make them increase their credit. Right now is the season. Whenever we come across Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Christmas, that's when normal creditors will increase your credit card, and they'll contact you. Hey, I increase your credit $1,000. They want you to spend it. If you've been diligent paying your bills on time, they'll ask you, do you want to increase your credit? Or you can contact them. Hey, increase my credit. And what that does is, if you get your, if you have $1,000 credit card and your utilization rate is 20%, and they increase your credit to another $1,000, now you drop it down to like 10%. So it's helping your utilization. And that's what you want. Remember, 35% payment history, 30% utilization. Yeah. The bigger card you have, the bigger the gap of utilization, the more money you can actually spend before you get to that point. So, definitely increase your utilization if you're being responsible with that card. I'll do it. Say, hey, I need, a utilization increase. And I'll do it just because, just because I can. And I know it's going to bring my score up. A few things I definitely want to touch on before, we get up out is when you said about using your credit card for like $100, whatever. I'll tell people this: use your credit cards often, all the time. I use my credit card like it's a debit card. So all my bills are on my credit card. Why? Because I pay them. My gas, I pay my gas. So use that because now, depending on the cards you get those reward points. Man, the reward points come around for Christmas time. You can buy gifts on those reward points. You just got to be smart. It's like, okay, if I'm getting 1% or 5% if I buy this, or $10 back or $50 back when I buy this, I'm already buying this already. It's only making sense to go ahead and do it, right? But you already know that that money's in the bank. I'm not doing anything outside of what I normally do. I buy groceries every week, $100. I put that on my debit. My debit's not rewarding me for doing that. I'm going to put it on my credit card, get in the car, pay it off real quick. Just continue to do that. And you're going to build your credit, build that history up. The 15% is your length of credit. You guys are young. That's a strike against you. You don't have a loan credit history. That's what they want to see is the loan credit history. So you got to start building that history like right away, you know.
And also go into how credit history is calculated, because when I first opened my credit and started using it, I thought that the age of my credit history really was from the time I started, from the time I opened my credit all the way till whenever, that it'll just continue, that the age of my credit history.
Man, we could talk about this for a while. So here's the thing, man, you don't want to, when it comes to your credit card, one of the ways people have ruined their credit is closing credit card accounts. All right. So let's say you have a credit card account that you had since college, right? And let's say that's 6 years worth of history. And let's say you finally paid it off. And you finally pay it off. You're like, man, I'm about to cancel this thing. I can't do this no more. And you cancel it. What happened? What did you just get rid of? You got rid of 35% of your payment. Your payment history is gone off that card.
Oh,
right?
wow.
And the biggest thing, too, is your utilization. That credit card you had for those years was $6,000 worth of your total utilization. Now imagine your other card says $2,000. So you have $8,000 in credit. And the other credit card, let's say you have 50% utilization, but since they put both cards together, it's showing you less than 50%. You close that card, now you have 50% utilization. So now your score went from a 700 to a 500 because you close the card. So I say that because if you do have cards, you want to keep them active, right? So I just, my wife I just gave her one of the cards. I don't normally shop at this place, Victoria's Secrets, but go spend some money there because I haven't used that card in a while, and I don't want them to close that. If they close it, it's going to bring down my overall credit utilization. And it's going to bring down that payment history, and that's one of the cards that I have the longest payment history on. So you don't want them to close those cards. You want to keep them open, right? And so, and once you know that, so saying what you're saying, your credit history is based off your oldest cards. And if you close those old cards, you just got a new card, right? You just got, you finally, now your old card's only $500. So what's that company? Credit One, Credit Plus?
Capital One.
Capital One. There you go. Thank you. Capital One. Capital One give credit to everybody, right? But they don't give you like a powerful limit. So you may have that card for forever, but it's only 500. You got your Discover, give you 10 grand. You're like, oh, I'm gonna cut this Capital One off. That payment history is gone. So you, unfortunately, you got to keep that money around a little bit, and make sure you you're accessing them. The worst ones are department store cards, your Walmart cards, your Sears card. Well, Sears is about to go out of business, but all these other cards, because if you don't use them, they'll cancel them things quick, and they typically don't give you a large credit limit.
Right.
$300, 30%, $90. You over $90, just bring your credit score down. There's no point to have it. Don't even open it. If you need to open it to start something, then yeah. But for the most part, kind of stay away from those.
Yeah. So, and if I'm not mistaken, like it's even a situation where, because when you open, like say your credit history is say you have 3 credit cards, right? And on those are your only loans that you've opened up, and on average you've had them for 2 years.
Okay.
Right. And after those 2 years, you open another one. What happens to your age of credit history?
Still the same. You still got.
It stays the same.
You still got 2 years. My oldest card, my oldest card is like maybe 14, and that's my Capital One. So that is going to show that my oldest line of credit is my Capital One. From what I understand, that's how it's treated, and from what I've seen, that's what it is. And so you're young. It's not. That's why it's 15% of your credit score. It's not a. It's a factor, but it's not as big as a factor as, you know, the 65%, which is the other two. You know?
Yeah.
You can only build the credit history with having an actual credit card.
Right.
You know, there's no way around it. I don't know what to tell people when I tell them, like, you got to get a credit card. You got to get, you know, something. And some people are afraid, and because they know with more money they're gonna spend it, you know, and that may be people that are already in financial distress, and they may need it. They may always need it. And that's because, you know, you want to live, you know, you want to live below your means. And I know we live in an age where everybody wants to spend money and they buy things they can't afford. I always say, you know, just because you could pay something doesn't mean that you can afford it.
Right.
You know, you know, and that's what you have to really think about and just be cognizant of, because y'all said that, especially the younger generation, they're getting in insurmountable amount of debt. And we haven't even touched upon school debt. Oh my gosh, that ruins you. Yeah, that ruins you. It ruins you. I'm telling you. Like, you ask my wife how many people I turn away because of student loan debt. It's crazy.
It's crazy, man.
It's crazy. It's like and there's nothing I can do. Like, this is not going anywhere. You owe $200,000. It's not going anywhere. You know.
And then. Yeah, because even I have student loans nowhere near 200,000.
Yeah, some people be tripping. They want to max it out and try to ball on financial aid.
Yeah, but that's because, you know, a lot of people that are doing this are first generation students.
Yes, that's correct.
And you know, they don't know any better, and they don't know that. You know, they don't know the guidelines of an FHA loan or a conventional loan. Nobody's telling you, hey, you know, FHA loan, although you're on a repayment program, they're going to count, you know, 1% of that total max of your loan to your, you know, monthly expenditures. Like, what? Then you'll be a little more hesitant to take on all these loans, you know. And some people take on loans and get degrees because they're professional students. They can't find a job, so they go get their master's. And they get their master's because that program's giving them another, you know, $10,000 that they can use to live. But it's going to stop you from living because you're not going to be able to get anything of, you know, real estate, real assets. You know what I'm saying? You won't be able to get those things. You won't be able to build actual wealth because you're in debt. You know, so these are some of the things you need to think about that are not taught, but still no excuse, because they are taught on everywhere. You guys have it, you're more privileged than we were. You know, Deion's investing in real estate and doing those things, and we didn't have access to that type of information. You know, we actually had to go to the library and hopefully come across a book that had that information in it. It wasn't at our fingertips, right? And so, you know, you guys have access to all this information. You just got to go get it.
And speaking of information on certain things, I wanted to also, last thing, business credit, because I know we'll be going through that. I'll be going through that on this podcast in the future. But when it comes to business credit, people would try to go and get it. And I just really want to talk to you about, like, how your personal credit can impact what happens in trying to get business credit.
And what I want people to be wary of is a lot of people are trying to sell you on things that are not legal and will get you in trouble down the road. But it's just like, remember what I said, it's leverage. So the more you can prove that you've been doing well with your personal, the more I can trust you with the business side. So typically when you fill out an application to get a business line of credit, and you know, we can digress later about why you would want business line of credit instead of personal. But they're going to say, okay, you've been doing well with your personal credit, and we'll allow you this amount of business credit. And from there, once you start building that business credit, you know, it's a done deal, you know, because what you'll get in business line of credit doesn't like it's
Ball,
on another
ball
level. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars in business line of credit in comparison to, a few, 20, 30,000, 40,000. And you can get a lot in personal credit. But again, it's personal, and you don't want all that stuff on your personal information. You want your business involvements, your real estate, all that stuff in a holding company, something outside of you. That way, if I were to sue you, that is not in my name. I have no idea what you're talking about. Those properties I do not own. They're in a holding company, and the company, that entity owns that. I'm just a simple person that's the trustee over that, and then you start learning the different things that why, people like, Donald Trump can go bankrupt and it's nothing. We look at, no, it's nothing to them. That's what they do, because it's just another way that you can use a system to continue to build wealth. You leverage debt, leverage your name. I'd rather, if I'm going to build a house, I don't want to use my money. I want to use 1, 2, 3, your money. And I'm just a name. If I can use your money, then I'm good. If it's a bad deal, messed up. Sorry, guys. You knew the risk. It was an investment. You knew the risk. Yeah. And then I move on to the next project. But I don't use any of my personal information, and But business line of credit is the way. Is if you're a business-minded person, I'll say do it. Even I tell people, open up a small LLC because you do have tax benefits from starting a company. And, you can do a lot of different companies online. It's endless. That's why I say, make money, not excuses. That's the reason. If you're talking about being broke, for me, and I know it's kind of controversial, you made a decision to do that. You made a decision not to have money. You made a decision not to go out your way, educate yourself in whatever field. You're making a personal decision, a personal choice to not have money. Right. And, $20 is just as easy to get as $1. Maybe it's a little more effort. It's okay. $40 is just as easy as getting $20. And that's how you have to see money. Just paper. It's just paper. Now, what you do with that, that's why it's a tool. Money is a tool. Figure out what you want to do with it and utilize it to build, But most people don't see money like that. They see money as a way to give them nice things, spend money that they don't have on Instagram. And you see it. And I'm going to tell you, I talk about it all the time. It's like you got to be careful of the snapshots, right? And, Deion, being around a lot of people that have a lot of money. I'm around a lot of people that have a lot of money. Doesn't mean that make them happy. They're stressed out 95% of the time, the people that I know. Stressed out 95% of the time. The 5% of the time, they're showing you a snapshot of where they went to travel somewhere. And you think that they're happy and they're all good. And I need to do the same thing. I don't got their money, but I just got a new credit card. I'm gonna go to Dubai. You ain't got Dubai money. Yeah, you can pay for it, but you just can't afford it.
Yep. There's a difference. So yeah, man. So that's I guess that's it for today. So we're going to again, it's your website is
imjclarington.com.
Okay, imjclarington.com. So you can also again, mortgage loan officer. So if you want any services for that, you're looking to go into getting a mortgage, is that the website that they can go to look into that, or is it different?
No. Yeah, that's different. That's all different. Oh, actually, it's goodness, I got so many. Oh, if you're doing a VA loan, VAwithJ.com, and then for regular citizens of the United States, yourdreamtoreality.com, and that'll take you to the loan application, things like that. But I'd rather have people contact me before they go fill out a loan application.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so
definitely. So that's it. So we good for today.
Yes, sir.
We learned a lot.
I hope y'all did. We did too.
I hope I did my job.
Right.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And if any questions, hopefully you can hit them up or put in the comments, and hopefully we can get back to you, or he can get back to you on those.
Definitely.
All right. Yeah. So that's it. We'll see y'all next week.
Like,
Peace
share,
out.
subscribe, y'all.
Like, subscribe. Peace out.